talk about? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Maybe they can win a game, but who really knows? The playoffs are here, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in, Chris.
Who would have
you
thought?
Believe it.
3 games ago, we were all Jim Mora.
Mm-hmm.
3 games ago, we were doing the same thing. Playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
I just hope they can win a game.
Oh, my goodness. And like B. Phil says, the Steelers have not won anything yet, but they have a ticket to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And a good playoff Monday to you all. January 8th, 2023, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in. The 7 seed, they will play Buffalo, the 2 seed, Sunday, 1 p.m. in Orchard Park, New York. Not Buffalo. Orchard Park,
It's definitely
New York.
Buffalo.
Yes, better feeling, Corey. Barber, thank you. For those that did not watch the end of last week, Wednesday or Thursday and Friday, I didn't even do a show Friday. I couldn't. I mean, you know the meme that's like dad early in the morning, and you just hear like all of these otherworldly sounds that he's hacking up. That was me, but for 72 hours straight.
No, you had the man flu. Just say it, Corey.
No, I wish I could say it. I wish I could.
We all
say
heard
that.
it, man. I'm just giving you crap. No, it's funny. Like it's just crazy, man. This is the last. I mean, for you especially because you've been also battling the crud. But man, the past 48 hours really for Steelers fans have been crazy because it was Saturday. It was hope to beat the Ravens. Well, they beat the Ravens, and then from that point on, it was watching a whole bunch of NFL football and hoping that something happened along the way that fell into the Steelers' favor. I know that like fans were even watching Saturday night hoping for a tie between the Colts and Texans, and it kind of looked like it might happen. And then, whenever Houston missed the extra point, it's kind of like, well, that kind of flew out the window. And then Titans came through, man. Titans came through in the clutch. Played the Jaguars hard, ran the ball all over them. King Henry, man.
Yeah.
The
Jaguars still had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, they did.
To me, there were some really questionable, aka bad calls by Doug Peterson, especially in the goal to go, the 2 runs in a row. And then on the last drive of the game, I like the shot to Ridley deep, and arguably Ridley could have had it.
Oh,
but
how you let somebody get behind you in that defense? That's
yeah. Ridley should have had it, and then 2 really bad plays by Trevor Lawrence. So look, the Steelers needed one of, I guess, 4 things to break their way, and they got only one of them. They got the one they needed, and that was the Jaguars' loss to the Titans. From Andy Brothers is sending them sandwiches as a thank you, and the Steelers get to go up to Buffalo. Mark, thank you for the well wishes. I want to make it abundantly clear: I'm still not 100%. I'm not. I can't say I'm not close, but I can't say I'm worse than I was over the weekend. Over the week, I stayed home from Baltimore. I would have been miserable. DK would have been miserable. I would have been miserable. Everybody would have been miserable if I went. So we got to stay home and do all the work.
You're coming through better than your internet is. So
I know. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know if it's the cold or what. But anyway.
No.
Now we have a playoff game to talk about. Let's go. Now, Buffalo. Okay. Just to tee up what the Bills are and what they've done. The Bills started the season 6-6. And a lot of people had questions about this team and about kind of the resolve in Josh Allen. And mainly, I think, I know, William.
It's bad.
I'll have to do a reset.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, you look like the first TV I ever had in my bedroom, the little 13-inch, where I was having the rabbit ears try to bring me 4 channels through.
It's also what I feel like, to be honest with you. Well, let me drop out for a second, and we'll see if we can correct that. Give me a second here.
It's all good, man. All right, yeah. So just in the meantime, listen. I mean, it's been. I saw somebody sound like we're mad. I'm not mad at all. My son is actually a huge Steelers fan, and so he was really happy. We were watching the Jags Titans game yesterday, and he was my son was like hanging all over my shoulder, just like, are the Titans going to win? Are the Titans going to win? And I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. We'll see. And so I kind of felt, Steeler Nation on my shoulder a little bit because, my son had the same anticipation or hopefulness, I should say, and that the Titans would pull that off, and they did. It was great. It was really great for the Titans really to come through because anybody saw the press conference of Mike Vrabel before that game, whenever they lost the previous week. You could tell he was pissed off. He doesn't like it, and they've had a bad season. 6-11. Even with that win, they finished 6-11. It's not a good year for them. So Corey's back. Let's get him back on.
Let's give it a run.
Yeah, you look better right now, but let's see. Let's see if Xfinity comes through or not.
Let's run it. All right, so let's tee up the Bills.
Yeah,
as I tried to do. The Bills started 6-6. Really in the dumps. Like, questions were coming up about Josh Allen and whether he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. This is a team that I believe had the third highest odds to win the Super Bowl entering the season. And I think more questions came out about Sean McDermott, the head coach, about whether this was the right guy that was going to take Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and James Cook and a great defense and a good offensive line into a Super Bowl run. And this was a team that was supposed to kind of run away with the AFC and just really couldn't put it together. They have a bye week 13, and they go 6-0 to close the regular season out. Or I guess 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 5-0 to close the regular season out. So this was a team that had to kind of figure it out and put it together, and they're playing, really, aside from the Steelers, about as good as anybody around the NFL right now. If not, they're the best team in the NFL since.
They're the hottest team right now. They've won five. They've won 5 in a row. Let's not. When the Bills fell to 6-6, it was the sky's falling in Orchard Park. That's just the way it was. This was a team, including myself. I thought the Bills were one of the best teams in football coming into the season, and man, even broadband internet ain't going to do anything. You need fiber. Fiber is the way to go. That's what I got.
Fiber is the way to go. Yeah.
Fiber is the way to go, man. I'm constantly both downloading and uploading at like 600 megabits a second, and I constantly have a single digit ping. I won't ever go back.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very good football team. They turned it around. They were in a similar situation with the Steelers, man. It was like it's falling, the sky's falling, everything's going bad, and they just figured things out 2 weeks earlier than the Steelers did. And the Bills have done that. We're going to have a lot of the week. All this week is going to be talking about the Bills, but I think we'd be remiss to not go over what the Steelers did in Baltimore. That was a heck of a performance for that team, considering the circumstances, not only having to go on the road and beat not just your divisional, your arch rival in your division, but also the best team in the AFC, even with, rest and starters, blah, blah, blah. But then also considering the weather, just everything. And Barber already coming through. Najee was phenomenal.
Really good chalk talk piece by you, by the way. Really
appreciate it. Yeah. That was like my big. I was kind of hoping that the Steelers would have that kind of a game, considering the weather, because you kind of knew it wasn't going to be one of those games where Mason Rudolph was going to, take over with like this phenomenal performance, even though he was still very good. Again, considering the weather and everything. But if the Steelers are going to win that game, they were going to have to do it on the ground, and Najee was absolutely the guy. That outside of the one big play to Deontay, Najee was the reason why that offense moved up and down the field. So, yeah, great game from him. It was a phenomenal performance. Way to come through in the clutch. Good game there for sure.
I'd like to speak like volumes about the Steelers beating the Ravens B team here. But let's just put it down to where it needs to go, is that they won the game. They took care of the business they had to.
No.
Would we wish they have played cleaner? I guess, but also the weather was absolutely horrible. in Baltimore. So you can't really look at that game and say, well, no style points, no like feel good component of like, yeah, they beat the doors off of them. None of that. And quite frankly, that really doesn't matter much here. I think just the sheer concept of going into Baltimore, taking care of the business. And by the way, Mason Rudolph, 18-20, he was hyper efficient. You can't ask for much better than that. Forget the yards, forget the touchdowns, forget the interception totals. He completed 18 of 20 passes in a ball game the Steelers had to win in awful weather conditions. And then, Najee Harris does the rest, and Deontay Johnson takes that touchdown for a lot of yak. Yep. So all things considered, job done. Job well done by the Steelers. They did exactly what they had to do, considering the circumstances. And they found a way to get themselves into the dance. Again, Najee's the big one from the Ravens game. I mean, and even the last 3 weeks, the way that he's been able to shoulder the load and has been able to absolutely, pun intended, carry this team on the offensive side, along with what Mason Rudolph is doing. And look, Swan says it here. Najee can win this game for the Steelers.
Not going to be good weather again.
Weather in Buffalo is going to be awful. Not even just from a snow perspective, but they're talking 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts potentially.
Yep.
So they're going to have to run the football well.
I don't know how many people have been to Orchard Park. That's not exactly a closed stadium.
No, it's very open.
That's a very, very open stadium. So it is one of those old school bowls, not like the cookie cutter like.
It's not like the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. I don't want anybody to think like I'm talking about like what Three River Stadium used to be or any of those old cookie cutter multi-sport stadiums, but it's just one of those very old school like just open bowls, and it's just there's nothing to stop wind there. And Orchard Park is in the middle of suburban, northwestern New York, and it's it's just it's when they say 20 to 30 mile an hour gusts, it's going to be exactly that. It's
going to be blustery.
They're going to feel every bit of that.
I went to Syracuse, so be used to it. I'll be all right. It's better than what Arrowhead would have been. Projected negative wind chills Saturday night in Arrowhead.
That would have been like the Christmas Eve game against the Raiders last year.
Yeah, no, hard pass on that. I'll take some snow and some wind and have my face firmly on my head.
Well, the thing is, you'll be in a press box eating wings.
Oh, yeah, but you have to get there.
Well, that's true.
You still have to travel, and you still have to park and walk into the – like, it's not like –
even the drive to the stadium. I'm telling you right now, that drive to the stadium Sunday morning, I know, but, it's going to –
oh, yeah.
It's going to suck.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We'll be all right. All right, but as for the actual football, I watched the Bills-Dolphins game last night, obviously, and
me too. Yeah.
For the Bills, a tale of two halves. Josh Allen was terrible in the first half and was Joe Montana in the second half. He was unbelievable in the second half and made plays when he needed to. And of course, Buffalo got the big punt return touchdown, 95 yards. That just absolutely suck it up, Corey. I went to Syracuse. I dealt with that on the regular. That was Tuesday for me. Come on, William. Come on. The Bills got the big special teams play, obviously, but I thought Josh Allen was two different quarterbacks, and which leads people to think, hey, what Josh Allen are the Steelers going to get on Sunday? Are they going to get, as Teresa says here, the Bills are flawed, but so's Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a flawed quarterback for as great as he is. Are they going to get the flawed Josh Allen, or are they going to get the all-pro, best arm in the league at times, Josh Allen? That's a fair question to ask, and especially Gabe Davis might not play with the PCL strain.
Yeah, but the thing is that you could get both, and it could go anywhere from play to play. And I think that's the thing with Josh Allen, at least the 2023-24 version of him, is that, and I think like last night was a bit of a microcosm of that. Like sometimes you were like, if you were to just watch one play in a vacuum, you'd be like, there's no way that guy's an all-pro quarterback. And then other plays, you're like, he's the best quarterback in the league. It's just, it can vary from play to play. And so what the Steelers are really going to have to do, and again, I haven't really done a lot of homework. I've been doing my homework a little earlier than normal already, just because obviously it's a big game. It's playoffs. It's wild card. This is the Steelers are 9.5-point underdogs. I think that's a little unfair. I think the Steelers match up, at least in terms of like some things that the Steelers are doing well right now. I think the Steelers actually have a way to win this game. But in terms of Josh Allen and his volatile play, is probably the best way I can put it, is that the Steelers need to be able to take advantage of the times where he screws up. And, Damon, is kind of bringing up Minkah. Minkah says he's going to play. If Minkah comes back, that's a huge boost. DeMonte Casey will be back. That's a huge boost. Getting your 2 starting safeties back. That's big.
Well, and another big, and perhaps the biggest, is potentially no TJ Watt. The reports are saying grade 2 MCL sprain, which could keep him out a few weeks. And that includes, of course, this week. So as of right now, and of course, Mike Tomlin will talk tomorrow, Tuesday, on the South Side about TJ Watt and the other injuries and who the Steelers could or might not have on Sunday. But it's not looking great right now for TJ Watt, at least on the surface. And, Gabriel asked here, will they use the Marvin Lee outside linebacker? Kyron Johnson played a few. No, I think it's mainly going to be Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden. Those are going to be the 2 guys that you're going to have to look for. And today, later on DKPittsburghSports.com, you'll hear from Nick Herbig about replacing TJ Watt. And look, I'll just draw this out right now. Since 2017, TJ's rookie year, the Steelers are 1-10 without him. So, look, I know it's easy to sit here and say, well, the Bills are beatable, because they are. But when you don't have the best player in arguably football, a defensive player of the year candidate, could be winner of it, perhaps should be winner of it on the field, that's going to change everything for this defense.
Yeah, it can't be overstated that TJ's absence, regardless of how strong the Steelers are at outside linebacker, or at least or just on the edge, there is no replacing TJ Watt. There's just no replacing it. He should be the defensive player of the year. I don't think that that's much of an argument. Myles Garrett had a phenomenal season. Micah Parsons had a phenomenal season, but TJ Watt is the defensive player of the year, in my opinion. And you just don't replace that with, as promising as Nick Herbig has showed, through his, limited opportunities. And then Marcus Golden, same thing. He's played pretty well in the limited opportunities. It's still not going to be TJ level Watt production, not even just in terms of sacks, but what he does in the run game on the edge, what he does in terms of disrupting throwing windows and batting balls down. Just overall his impact. He makes a gigantic impact on the game that will be missed. The best way the Steelers can compensate for that is to keep the Bills offense on the sideline. And that is where the Steelers can actually have a chance in this. I'm not making my prediction already. It's only Monday. I still have a lot of homework to do on this game, but the Bills just, from early looking at the Bills have given up 4.6 yards per carry this year. Only 4 teams are worse than that. They can be run on. And with the way the Steelers are running the football right now, the Steelers over the past 3 weeks have the 3rd best rushing EPA and the 2nd best success rate in the league in terms of running the football. They run the football like that again, they stand a chance because they keep their defense fresh. They keep the Bills offense on the sideline. That's the best way to neutralize Josh Allen, is to make him not play. They do that, they have a chance. But if they don't find a way to run the football or to be efficient and to eat the clock, they're gonna have tough sledding. Pun.
The Bills are allowing 307 yards of offense. That's good for 9th in the NFL. So pretty good defense.
Overall good defense, but primarily they are a much better pass defense than run defense.
They're allowing 34 touchdowns, which I believe is 3 fewer than the league lead. So they're right up there. I mean, that defense is right up there.
Yep.
Now,
it's a good defense.
Oh, absolutely. Now, obviously, no Matt Milano. He's out for the year. So that's a big one for Buffalo to not have. But this is a really good unit. And yeah, as Chris G says here, Bills defense is no slouch. In fact, I think it's one of the strongest in the league. So they got their work cut out for him. Do the Steelers. No TJ Watt. But as you mentioned, Chris, DeMonte KZ is off his suspension. He's back. He's back in the building. He's excited to be back. After, of course, serving a 3-game suspension as a result of the hit on Michael Pittman in the Colts game in mid-December. And then Minka Fitzpatrick, after missing 3 games with a knee injury, 3.5 games really with the Colts game, is also expected to come back. So they're going to have that fortified safety depth that's going to help them in the back end. Now, how much does Minka play up in the box? or how much does Eric Rowe come up, or what does Pat Peterson do? Obviously to be seen, and a lot of it I think will be weather dependent as well. How much is Buffalo going to want to throw the football in that kind of weather? Because James Cook is a pretty good running back too now. All of a sudden, he's really come along this year. So
yeah, James
really
Cook is good.
Really fascinating matchup.
It really is. Yeah.
Just for all these reasons. But here's the downside to it, Chris. You mentioned the line's moved. I think it's 9.5 now. It opened at 7.5. I think it's either 9 or 9.5 now.
So I got the email last night. I get all the emails automatically. I'm on like a mailing list for anything that comes up from betonline.ag.
Yeah.
When I got that last night, it was 7.5, and then when I looked at ESPN a little bit later, it was 9.5.
Yeah. So the line's moved to Buffalo's favor.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
yeah.
But with that being said, like the matchups the Steelers could have had in this round of the postseason were the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. I would argue this is the toughest of the three to get. And that's just from a sheer personnel perspective. I believe more in Buffalo's defense than I do Miami's or Kansas City's.
Kansas City's defense has been a lot better. Honestly, I think it's the only reason that Kansas City is where they are.
I could argue with that too. I could deal with that too. I understand that.
Kansas City's defense is it's actually one of the reasons why, because obviously when the Dolphins were up last night, we're thinking, we're thinking, okay, they're going to play Saturday night in Kansas City. I know DK is starting it for his reasons. I was starting it because I don't want to watch, Taylor Swift every 5 seconds.
Oh, it's not that bad. Come on. Who cares? I don't care.
I know. I think that's overstated, but I'm like, it's bad during the regular season. I can only imagine how it's going to be during the playoffs. Like, it's going to be worse than how often Tony Romo says, Jim, which, by the way, we should be getting on Sunday.
I was going to say, it's going to be Romo, Nance, and Wolfson.
They're playing CBS, so it'll be Romo and Nance.
I forgot. They have Lombardi Lenny. That's a big one. Bills have Lombardi Lenny, Leonard Fournette. Yeah, it's going to be Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, the CBS.
Jim. But no, when we were talking about that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, Chiefs, that's going to suck because Arrowhead's a really tough place to try to win. The Chiefs defense is better than people think. And then regardless of how he's played, Patrick Mahomes, you could just like Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I don't want to flirt with that. And the Steelers might not have a choice. I mean, if they get to a certain point in the playoffs and have to play them, then you have to do what you have to do. Dude, did you see this yesterday? Darren says Jake Browning's girl went for some Swift spotlight.
No, that wasn't Swift spotlight. Gosh. That was a different kind of spotlight. That is called putting yourself out there. That's Jim says so tired of Taylor Swift. Jim, I'm going to speak to you and the rest of the people that might agree with Jim here. If you're worried about Taylor Swift, you're worried about the wrong thing. Just let it happen. It really is not a big deal. Trust me.
Did you see her reaction to the joke at the Golden Globes last night?
Yes, I've seen all the memes from it.
Oh,
they're wonderful. The memes are wonderful
so
from
good.
it. Here's a good question from Brent. What kind of rust could KZ have? Was he around at a lot of practice at all? No. Suspension is suspension. It's like if you went to school and got suspended from school. You can't show up. You can't be there. So no, KZ in fact was not at the facility, was not in practice at all over the last few weeks. So this is DeMonte KZ. He even said it today, which is on the feed right now on DK Pittsburgh Sports.com. He said he got his job back. So he's back to work today. This is DeMonte KZ's first day back in the office.
Yeah. I would expect there to be a little bit of rust. I'm sure he was like staying in shape, as much as you can, to a point. But that's still a few weeks off of not having any, organized football activity. But the good thing is that Patrick Peterson has played pretty well. Yeah. Patrick Peterson has played pretty well, stepping in at the safety position. So you can be a little flexible with, snap counts and how everything's balanced out and how the workload's divvied up and everything like that. So you can still have, you don't have to put KZ out there and expect him to have to carry the workload playing center field. So, and Damon also puts the other perspective on that. At the same time, KZ has fresh legs. So,
Philip asked, what will it take to keep Eric Rowe and Miles Jack on the roster? Oh, they're going to be on the roster. Those two guys are going to play. They'll find a way to get him in. In fact, Miles Jack obviously is going to start inside linebacker. Eric Rowe, I'll argue start Eric Rowe along with Minka Fitzpatrick. and then rotate Patrick Peterson and DeMonte KZ in. I think that's the best solution for them in the back end, because Pat P obviously can go back into the slot at corner. He can can rotate to the slot or at corner. They can do a lot of things. I think it's imperative that Eric Rowe not only plays, I think he should start again. I think they shouldn't mess with that formula.
Good.
Yeah,
Rowe's been good. Jack's been
Hayward
good.
said it. Cam Hayward said it. How is this guy not on a damn team this year? He's been excellent for them.
Yeah, it was a good find for them. Eric Rowe's been phenomenal. I don't think there's any way you take a helmet away from him for sure.
Next year too, you know what, Jim? If this question was about next year for Rowe and Jack, depends on if Jack still wants to play. To be honest with you, I mean, he was in retirement mode and he was called off the couch. Now, if he still wants to play, then great. Now you could get Rowe and Jack for cheap, which is the positive. So we'll see. No, Philip. All that is practice squad elevations at this point. So no one has to get cut for them. No,
because Miles Jack is still technically on the practice squad.
So every
So every time they've played, they've had to be elevated, and so you always have your inactives, for every single game. But yeah, no. And when it comes to like stuff for next season or what they do during the off season, definitely not trying to sound like mean or anything about this at all. But I think until the Steelers are eliminated from the playoffs, I think all talk of what the Steelers are going to do in the off season is got to go out the window.
Juan Pablo says Montravius, Air Jordan Adams. I did talk to Montravius Adams today.
He's got to feel terrible.
I asked Montravius Adams about the play, and I tried to ask it like gingerly, basically to say no hard feelings with you and TJ. Like, what kind of happened there? And he just kind of like gave a little smile, like as in like, here it is. He didn't want to answer it, obviously. And I told him, I was like, after it, I stopped recording. I'm like, there's just things I have to ask, you know this. And he didn't want to talk about it. No hard feelings between him and TJ. I don't think anybody within the fan base should be mad at Montravius Adams for anything. It was a freak thing. It was an accident. He did not mean to collide knees with TJ. It just is what it is. Things happen.
It's friendly fire. It's an accident, but the dude's going to feel terrible about it.
Oh yeah, he does.
I had a lot of good talks with Montravius Adams. He was actually just really, really, kind of like peel
guy.
Peel the curtain back a little bit. Only talked about like hockey with a few different guys in there. And he was one of the guys that not only I was able to talk hockey with, but he was always asking like how I was doing in the league that I played in. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, that's just freaking hilarious. That, I'm like, you're a professional football player with where people are interested in what you're doing playing. I just thought that was kind of funny, but I just, from talking with him and having that rapport with him, I know he's got to feel terrible about it because, that's the Steelers' best player. Yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and as Steven says here, nobody should be upset with him. I don't think anybody is, and nobody really should be. If you're sitting here upset at Montravius Adams, like things just happen. It's not his fault. It's not TJ's fault. It just happens. Yeah, I mean, Damon here. How can you be pissed at him? It is what it is. I mean, that's true. But I figured we'd bring it up today.
Yeah,
just to get it out of the way because like there is a component of TJ got hurt from his own teammate, if you want to word it that way. And it does happen. So good to bring that up. Killebrew American Express Saturday. Miles Killebrew has been unbelievable these last 3 weeks, in my opinion. Special teams and defense. Yeah, he's done everything for this defense.
Playing a lot better, for sure, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You expect him to do certain things on special teams. He's the captain and he's a Pro Bowler. Yes, he had that one terrible game where he had 3 special teams penalties. But I would call that a misnomer based off of what he's done over the course of his career as a special team guy. But what he's also done on the defensive side of the ball, that's worth mentioning for sure. Interesting question here from Swan. He says, which conditions do you think will be worse, Baltimore last week or Buffalo this week? I would say probably Baltimore last week, just because I think the only thing that's worse than whenever it's cold and you're having to deal with precipitation is whenever that precipitation is like just wet and like the wettest it could possibly be. Because obviously ice, like, yeah, it's slippery. Like you can't drive on it. It sucks. Snow, it's like, yes, obviously it's water still, but it's a different type of wet. It's not a wet that you will immediately become saturated with. It kind of takes time. Cold rain sucks. It's got to be the worst. Like, it's got to be the worst thing to play in. I can't imagine, especially because it makes the field terrible. It makes it tough holding on to the football. Referees probably have a much easier time of teams have an easier time of keeping balls dry if it's snowing. I don't know why all of a sudden it's looking dark. I haven't changed anything.
Storm time. Jay Quest. I'd wait. I don't know. You do what you want. I'd wait. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I also don't know if I'd ever spend money to go watch a Super Bowl, quite frankly. I don't think I would enjoy like all of that pageantry in person. I love the at-home experience of the Super Bowl. Now, covering it from a reporter's perspective is a dream, which is completely on the opposite side of the spectrum of wanting to go as a fan or not wanting to go as a fan. Would I like to cover a Super Bowl as a reporter? Hell yeah. Would I like to go to a Super Bowl as a fan? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is too much. I like the at-home, get the wings and pizza, hang out with the boys, and just like slog it out. And sometimes, and more often than not, the two teams that are in the game, you don't really care about per se. So there you go.
Well, we do know who the matchup would be in the divisional round if the Steelers were to win this game. They would be going to Baltimore again to play the Ravens' very best.
Right, but we do know the Steelers have a good history against the Ravens' best. By the way, a quick note before we do get out. Joey Porter Jr. Was talking today about his favorite memory from his dad's playoff runs as a Steeler. I don't know if you saw this yet, Chris. What do you think Peasy said, or did you see it?
I did not get a chance to watch it yet. I've been trying to keep up with some stuff, but
what do you think it was? What do you think it was? They shot me in Denver. They shot me in Denver. That's his favorite moment from his dad. So if you know that one, congrats. If not, do your research.
Yeah.
All right. So here's how the rest of the week's going to go. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is a Tomlin Tuesday. Yes. Hoorah. There you go, Chris G. Hoorah. Okay. It's the rest of the week is like a regular season week on the South Side. So Tuesday is a Tomlin Tuesday, noon Eastern. It's going to be all over the feed on DKPittsburghSports.com. Wednesday is a practice day. It's quarterback day. So anticipate. Mark asks, is there a chance Tomlin goes back to Kenny on Sunday? Don't bet on it. If they go to Kenny, I'll be stunned. If they go to Kenny, I'll be stunned. And yeah, JPJ versus Diggs. Get ready. Tomlin Tuesday, quarterback Wednesday, extended day of practice. Mason Rudolph expected to talk after practice. Thursday's coordinators. So Terrell Austin and Eddie Faulkner at 11:45 Eastern. Friday, as always, a lighter day on the South Side, more of a walkthrough-y kind of practice, as it usually is on a Friday. Travel day Saturday, football on Sunday. So that's how it's going to work on the South Side. On the feed on DKPittsburghSports.com, Chris, DK, and I are going to do our darn hardest to get anything and everything we can with respect to the Steelers, the Bills, this game, whatever it is, into that feed on DKPittsburghSports.com.
Yeah, we're going into overdrive here.
Yes,
that's just what we're doing.
And you might even see a note. You might even see a note from Alex or Taylor, or Corey Guy. That is how all hands on deck of a situation this is for us.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna ask, if you haven't done this yet, if you're on a desktop computer, DKPittsburghSports.com, click on the little Steelers icon at the top and bookmark that page. Or if you want a short link, DKPS.net/Steelers. Bookmark that link. That is where our Steelers feed 24/7, 365 is going to be. Consider it your social media platform for Steelers only. Troll free, just BS free. It's what you're going to want for this postseason run. It's all the need to know about the Steelers and the Bills. You're going to want to bookmark that link. if you have not downloaded our app, DK Pittsburgh Sports, it is 100% free to download, free to use, free to read on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So if you haven't done it yet, even if you don't subscribe, which please subscribe, because that's where you get members only benefits, you get the commenting threads, you get the forum and everything. That is where you could read everything on the app, 100% free, dkps.net/Steelers, dkpittsburghsports.com. I have to put those plugs in because I like getting paid and I like my job. So there you go. I had to do that before we get out of here. Final thought, Chris.
Just enjoy the ride. I mean, obviously the Steelers, it's been a while since they've won a playoff game. But after last season and the disappointment of last season, not making the playoffs, they're back in. And I think even in 2021 when they made it, I think that this was, that was kind of a formality. I think everybody kind of knew the Steelers didn't stand a chance in Kansas City in that game. And then I'd even go back as far as to say in 2020 with the way that they just collapsed after that 11-0 start, that there wasn't really much of a chance for them to even win the wild card game against the Browns, which obviously they didn't. But even if they were to have won that game, they weren't going any further than that. This does feel a little bit different. This feels, they've got some life. They're playing. The difference is that they're playing hot going in to the playoffs, and that is what you always want to do when the playoffs begin. You want to be one of the hot teams going in. The Steelers are right now. It's still only 3 games, so there's still reason to be skeptical. But just enjoy the ride. Try to go in. Embrace the optimism. Also kind of know that if they don't win, they just there's reason to feel a little bit better about it for sure. And I would just encourage you to just enjoy the ride, enjoy the week, and then obviously once the game starts, and try to enjoy the game. Hopefully the Steelers don't crap the bed for you.
Yeah, if I could give a final thought, I had just wanted to share like scenes from the locker room today. Number one, with Michigan and Washington playing in the college football playoff national championship, which needs to kick off at 7. Let's cut the 8:30 BS, like the 8:45, 9 o'clock BS. Come on, you're not going to put the college national championship when there's an Eastern Standard Time team in the game, and you're going to kick it off at 9 p.m. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You can't do it. So let's kick this game off at 7. Is what I'm saying. Mason Cole is a Michigan alum, obviously. And upon his entrance, if you will, into the locker room today,
oh boy, I can imagine.
Mike Tomlin walks in front of him, directly in front of him, and all you hear is "Big Blue, Big Blue, Big Blue coming through," and then you see Mason Cole walking in with the Michigan versus everybody hoodie on. And of course, all the reporters go right up to his locker stall and start talking about, "Hey man, you're gonna watch and everything." And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to put the bed. We're going to put the kid. You're going to appreciate this, Chris." He's like, "Yeah, we're going to put the kids to bed by 7:29, and then we're watching this thing." He's like, and then my wife and I, because his wife went to Michigan as well. They met in college. He's like, "We're going to watch this thing." So I figured you would laugh at that. And then like the overall, obviously everybody in the locker room is excited, right?
Yeah.
But like, I think if I could wager a final thought based off of that is. Yeah, you know what, Robbie? That was mainly me. Robbie says, yeah, he loves us. We appreciate. We love you too. He loves DKPS. We love you too. Can't forget a few weeks ago, both of us were telling you all to shut up about Mason. Yes, I was. I stand by every word I said 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. I stand by every word that I said. I'm allowed to be wrong. I was dead wrong. Now, how long this ride lasts, who the hell knows?
Yeah, we're allowed to be wrong, but I mean, listen, there was obviously a reason why Mike Tomlin wasn't just knee-jerk going to Mason. There was, I mean, they paid Mitch Trubisky to be the backup, and so they were going to give him a fair shake, and that was going to be more than just, he might play bad for 2 quarters or 3 quarters before he just, pulls the plug on that. He was going to get probably at least a game or 2, which is exactly what he got. So we weren't necessarily wrong at that point. We ended up being wrong in the long run for sure. But we're also not going to bat 1,000. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to bat 1,000 because I'm not.
Bob says we haven't been saying Keanu Benton's name much since October. I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. I think it's a good thing. I think we're not saying Keanu Benton's name because he's doing really freaking well. He's been, for my money, like, who's rookie of the year for the Steelers? I voted Joey Porter Jr. for the award.
Yeah.
You could argue Broderick Jones. You could argue Keanu Benton. You could argue Nick Herbig in a way. Like, I think this draft class has been home run in general. So, there's that. But again, from the locker room, like, there's a general buzz. Obviously, they're in the postseason. But I think what this week does, if anything, win or lose, is it gives the young guys a taste of what this feels like. These rookies that we just talked about with Benton and Porter and all them. And then you look at guys like even Kenny, if you want to extend it to Kenny, and if you want to extend this into Connor Hayward in that draft class, and even Pat Freiermuth and Najee Harris to an extent, this gives them another taste of what it's like to prepare and play postseason football, which is crucial. How many times do we see teams in the NFL, and as a prime example, I can think of the Jared Goff Rams, where they go on a really ripping hot postseason run, and they get to a conference championship or a Super Bowl, and then they fizzle out because they've never been there before. They don't have that gusto in them. They don't have that juice in them, so to speak. And then they fade out. This team can build some baseline of experience to get into the postseason and play a postseason game and be in that environment, and then carry that on to next year and beyond should they get back into the postseason. So I think that's important more than anything. Chris and I have to get out of here. I certainly do. I need to go take some medicine. DK and Ramon Foster show in 20 minutes. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. to react to a Tomlin Tuesday. We'll be looking forward to that, certainly. And as for now, we're going to sign off. Stay tuned again as a reminder to the feed on DKPittsburghSports.com.
For sure.
And if you missed this show, if you missed half of it, part of it, the whole of it, whatever it is, we're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. And then, of course, on YouTube on DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers, right where you found this live. We'll talk to you tomorrow. He's Chris Halicke. I'm Corey Crisan. Have a good Monday, everybody. Go Michigan, go Washington. I don't know, whatever you prefer.
Definitely not Michigan.
Maybe enjoy that game tonight. I'm a native Ohioan, so I can't say go Michigan.
No,
peace out, everybody. Have a good day.